Okay. So one question I got for you, brother. During the internal hostilities, right? What was the underlying like conditions that were going on within the organization as far as like with the opposition, with the inmate, you know what I mean, and Sureños? What were the directives being put out there to you guys? Be a false friendship, or is there actually kind of open line of communication with them at this time?
Well, like we all know, there's always a circle within the circle. So they were telling us that it wasn't a cease hostility. That basically it was a half 60, and if the inmate acts up, we're willing to go to war with them. They never used the term peace treaty. They never wanted to use that term with us or to the homies. They were real careful on making sure that when they passed out the filters and the wheelers, and they did not use those words, peace treaty. They always said that, hey man, this is just a cease hostility. We'll go up anytime, and at times it did feel like it was going to go up. The tensions were high with Emmett being on the yard in Salinas Valley because they didn't really like our the way we programmed and the way our security was. It was tension with them.
So what's going on now as far as since all the changes have been going on with the states and feds, right? What is the recruiting process now for the organization as far as in the state? Has there been like new modifications to the Constitution, new provisions? Is there certain new implementations as far as to kind of outcast the federal faction?
Yeah, well, when around the time I was getting hit, there was rumors that Conejo was that they had voted already, and they were gonna make provisions to the Constitution. I'd never seen them. I ended up getting stabbed. Well, I don't know about them, but as far as the recruitment process, it wasn't like how it was back in the days. It was real simple. Memorize the Constitution, and we're just really, even though you're an ass, you get pulled, you're still probation, you're still just manpower to them. But
so is the recruit now? How is that affecting the Ensoldados now? Like, I kind of question that. Like, since the NF are back on the main lines, right? Is there a need for like the Ensoldados, previously known as Nuestra? Is there a need for them out there in the main lines, or do they dismantle that as well?
No, they got rid of all of that, man. That's what I was telling Tony the last conversation. The whole morale of the homies is shot, man. And they've got out there, and I think they exposed their hand too fast as far as them being greedy and everything they would tell us about how the enemy were. We started seeing that's how they were. But it don't matter, the soldados. Well, there's righteous soldados who've been soldados for years, respected, and just never wanted to become a canad or never been asked or righteous, soldados, 40s and 50 years old, and they were getting hit, and they were getting silent, and they were getting ignored, they weren't getting acknowledged, they were getting, you know what I mean? The whole morale of the homies, it was just all bad. I remember one time when they used to put out a filter and say who wanted to be structured, and there would be 30, 40 homies striving and wanting to be structured. And I remember in Salinas Valley, they did the same thing. Out of like 60 homies, there was only like 5, and nobody wanted to partake in politics no more. They didn't want to be part of that no more.
So that's where they started recruiting as far as NF on the lines in Salinas Valley.
Yeah, I know for a fact that Conejo and them, they're anticipating they're getting indicted. So they're anticipating an indictment. So they don't know what's going to happen to them once they hit the feds, or there's rumors that it's going to be all bad for them or whatnot. But so they've been recruiting a lot of NF. Dudes who are not even seasoned.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I seen the
I heard.
The youngest I seen was a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, just because he got to release date. He's over there, rocking the NF bandana.
So now it's okay to put the NF tattooed on you on these main lines, huh?
Absolutely. Mongolians, X4s, XIBs, everything that we weren't getting, now it was okay to get.
So now how apparently you got caught up in some politics, right? Were you entitled to due process when you were expelled from the organization, or did they just call for your expulsion with no due process?
No, there's no due process, man. And that's what hurts the most is that I got hit 2 times, two different
Mhm.
times. My father hit me in my sleep. Speedy from Delano, he hit me in my sleep, and I left. I came back, and then I got him up with Trigger from Salinas. That's Stark's nephew, and we
Mhm.
stabbed each other in the cell. And there's no due process, man, because the brass is right there in Salinas. You got Chucos on the line, you got Conejos on the yard, uh, Sleepers, San Jose's right there. The whole brass was there. I know the only one that they made step back was DC step back, and Chente had took his spot, but I just heard something bad about Chente.
Chente from Salas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's on his way
they just recently hit him in Santa Rita a while back ago. I heard about that. So yeah, I heard that they were trying to force DC out to retire, man. So that is true, huh?
Yeah, I was out there for that. That was true. He got dementia, and his judgment was off. And one thing that they used against him, he had pulled a homie who was working with the feds. He had pulled a young Canad who was an informant, and they used that against him to get him to retire. But he did retire.
So who's currently sitting on the OGB right now, besides Conejo and Chuco?
You got Conejo. Conejo was supposed to take DC spot. You got Chuco still the SRG, and then you got Chente was supposed to take the GOP spot, but then that little they had, I don't know if you're aware, Duck stabbed Chente in Pleasant Valley, and it went up in a little riot, and then something happened with that, and I don't know about where Chente's his standing for that.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. I thought Chente was loyal to the feds. So apparently he was loyal to the state. So what is going? I've been hearing a lot of rumors about a lot of thieves have been hit. I heard Sombras got hit. We already know about Mateo.
I think Sombra got hit. Matt got hit. Matt Rocha got hit. Excuse me. Duck's the one who stabbed Matt in Pleasant Valley. It wasn't Chente. Chente ended up going to. He did end up going to the feds. Who else got hit? Knockers from Sacramento got hit. Pontera. I was out there in the yard. Pontera got hit. Everyone, man. Everyone. Maybe Joker from Wattsville. I don't know. You know him. He got hit.
Yeah. So now what's going on? Like I had a little discussion with the brother that runs this channel, right? And why are so many Norteños getting booked and murdered? You know what I mean, nowadays, man. Like, you know, back in the days, man, on these yards, right? We used to just do removals just for the purpose of removing them, man. Unless they had certain charges or were a high profile dropout or a pedophile, those were the only ones that we were trying to take out. You know what I mean? We'd send the SKP squads after them. But if someone just had some bylaw infractions of cowardice acts or whatnot, we would hit them with, with basically a tomahawk and just to remove them off the yard. Nowadays, you got these kids that are being murdered, bro. So I'm trying to get some feedback on that.
Yeah, I mean, you could look it up. You got George Arquette, a soldier from Watsonville. He got killed in Salinas when I was out there over phone.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Termite got stabbed at the same time. And, that was over cell phones. He's a kid, man. You know what I mean? He had like a year to go home. He was a 23-year-old kid and got killed by a Joker from San Jose in the cell. And I mean, I feel you, man, but the way the atmosphere is that the MNF created on the yard was before. And this is something that is probably going to blow your mind. Conejo and them are allowing the homies to get high now. So the MS and the NF pockets now, there's so much drama behind that, and a lot of the hittings are actually behind that because before we used to be in the MS pockets, we used to be in the South Side. We had that no drug policy, and that's where we were known for, we were respected for. But now it's the opposite. It's the opposite. You got homies that are allowed to get high now and making bad calls and bad judgments.
Yeah, I heard those two homeboys in Solano that I heard they got hit for using heroin for the drug debt that they owed, or what was it?
The way it is now is that
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I'm gonna go ahead and call back. But the way it is now is that a South Sider can report to the Northerners and say, "Hey, man, just do those money," and his word is good enough, and 9 times out of 10 he's getting hit. He's out of there. I've never experienced it. It's never been like that, but that's the way it is. And vice versa, Northerner could they rather hit the dude instead of they going up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're trying to maintain that money push. This is kind of crazy, bro. So what you were saying is basically they're reporting to each other out there behind the facilities. I mean, what type of interactions are the MA and NF having on these yards? I mean, I know you said that the filters were being put out there that it wasn't no peace treaty, but what were the true interactions between these two organizations?
I mean, I was on Chuco's detail, so I seen a lot of conversation between him and Emmy. And I mean, I know a couple times where it was tense. I know a couple times where I seen Chuco tell Danny Boy from Hazard, you know, that when we had a hunt on the yard, like, hey man, if this money ain't there, like no, when the next yard we're gonna come up and we're gonna get it. In verbal threats, and I've seen it like that. But
were the NF told the MA that?
Yeah, and over money, you know, because they didn't have nothing going on in Salinas. That's our backyard, so not a lot of transactions, phone transactions coming from us. But I've seen it like that, but it's more like of a respect thing. But it's high powered, man. You hit that yard and you see that yard and you see Emmett walking the yard with a 9-man detail. You see Chuco walking across the yard with a 9-man detail. You know, and that's a united front. You know, people trip out on that. Cops can't even talk to Chuco. You know, they gotta ask us permission to go speak to him. Like that's the way it is.
So so you know the situation going on with the states and the feds right now, right?
Absolutely.
The feds are claiming that they're they're the true leadership and all that. Do you think the feds have any action to remove these individuals, or do you think their security and they built such a strong wall that it's not going to happen? Or is
I know I was told that DC is the only one who has a pass. Whenever they get indicted, he goes to the feds.
Okay.
I know Conejo's done. Chuco's done. And I think a lot of that in the streets. I don't know if you noticed, they changed it's not that much violence towards dropouts and all that. It's more of a about money, about business and all that. Now, I was there when MA allowed the NF more territory down south. Now they're in LA now. Now there's juntas with Northerners and Sureños in LA. So that's a new twist, you know.
So that's the interstate compact rumors I've been hearing about.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
One more time.
I've been hearing rumors about an interstate compact where it's being permission for them to go handle business down south and vice versa.
Absolutely. I was out there for that. I was out part of that conversation right there.
So now, what's going on with the street regiments now? Is it a focus more of them making money in prison? Because I mean, they're making more money in prisons than they probably do in the streets nowadays.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So what is their focus on the street?
It's the same, man. You know, if you're a dropout, you're sticking out like a sore thumb to get you out the way. Everything's about business. Everything's still about money. Everything's still about robberies, selling dope. But now the thing is, they got all that money making in the pen, where they're able to fund those regiments out there. So it's a little more dangerous, you know, a little more on the upper scale.
So now they're using the money that they're making in the pintas to replenish the accounts out there in the streets and basically reinvest it, take care of the streets.
Absolutely.
I mean, so let me ask you something, right? As you know, I take it you how long were you with Garnat for?
I was with Garnat for 2 years, man. I had just finished my probation period, and that was it, man. I got hit because I stood up and I said, no, enough is enough. It ain't like that.
You know what? I'm hearing your story, right? And this just is reminiscent of what they used to teach us when we were young, bro, about the things we stood against, the oppression and all that, man. You basically, they're taxing you two-thirds.
2/3, man. I could tell you a story that I remember, because the NF were so greedy. So I don't know if you know, like you break down grams and all that, like they're trying to make 15 papers out of a gram. Well, the other homies who were doing it, they're making money, and they passed out a filter on the yard and said, hey, you guys need to stop selling dope for 30 days until the NF makes money. And when I see that, I said, oh, these dudes are. This is some oppression. This is scare tactics. Everything all the way around, you know.
And how are these Northerners and Norteños taking this on the yard? I mean, are they just on eggshells, or I mean, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of morale or like unity.
Yeah, the morale shot. You can picture Salinas Valley when you come out to the yard. We got our handball courts, and we got other bars that we kick it at. Nobody goes, no other homies go back to the handball court because the NS is back there. So you would see that. I remember Chuku had told me to write up a filter to the house and say that it was okay to go shake the canal's hands that don't feel scared or like you couldn't. But that's an idea that you could get that the morale is just shot, man.
So like it seems like does it seem like a separate yard where you have the NF and the Norteños just like totally separated from each other?
Absolutely. And when we first got out, Canals, they're paranoid. They didn't know what they were getting out. They got out to a structured yard. We've been holding these yards, down for years. And so, they just read on We Love, on the idea of what security was and all that. So when they got out and they seen that the full effect on what we were doing, we were handling business out there, they were scared, man. They were scared. They didn't know who was rocking with the state, who was rocking with the Fed. So that's another reason why a lot of homies started getting hit ASAP, because they didn't want to chance it. They didn't want to chance it.
Wow, brother. So let me ask you. So what was it behind Sombras getting hit, bro?
Well, Sombras, I know Sombras from. I was in corporate shoe with Sombras, and when I was there, he was handling business, and I think he got hated on corporate shoe. He had lost that regiment. They had put him on freeze. Mondo from Delano ended up taking over, and I always knew it.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
He was in trouble, and I could say this was like in 2010, 2011, when that had happened with Sombra, when he had lost his authority in corporate shoe, and then we got kicked out in 2016. He was the first to not get hit in Solano, and that was, they said he was stealing money. He was having all those San Jose car only report to him and send him more money than not to the NF. They hated on him,
Yeah, but I thought the mandates at that time were you were given a pay roster back then around 2011, 2012. I thought they weren't worried about the main bank at that time. They were just forwarding it like to different C's. You were just supposed to start sending your regiment was supposed to start sending money to fatten up each C that was in the state's pockets.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And this just to give you an idea, but everybody that was in that Corcoran regiment, they're all on this side now. So that just gives you an idea that the Corcoran and Pelican Bay, they weren't on the same page.
Yeah. Well, I think Mondo Coin's still active, right? Isn't he like in High Desert?
Mondo from Delano. Last I heard, he was in the High Desert. I heard a rumor he was on his way on this side, but I doubt it. I don't believe everything I hear. I would have heard that.
Yeah. So how are the interactions with the Norteños and Sureños on the yard? I mean, is it like, are they interacting like become like you know what I mean? Like, are they building relationships out there? Like actually kicking it, posted up? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm playing basketball. When I was out there, we had pushed the blacks away. Those were some people call them allies. Other groups didn't call them our allies, but if you're, we don't use them as our allies. We just use them as united front, on an individual basis. and the blacks were no longer part of the North Indian movement no more, man. They got pushed all the way out. It became like a whole brown pride movement. So on one side of the day room would be south and north, and blacks on the other were on the yard. The blacks got pushed out from when we used to share bars with them, and now we kick back with the Southerners.
Oh wow, so it's like totally different. And what's going on with the Sureños and the whites? Are they still kicking it, or is there like a little bit more tension amongst them two?
Sureños were still bullying the whites, as they could. AB, they've been fading away, especially with all these indictments they're going through right now, and they're trying to hold a grasp on their people. But they were out there, man. They were catching murders, and that was the only way they were able to resort to violence because they didn't have a grasp on their people to get them organized north and south.
Yeah, yeah. So the Africanos are just basically left upon their own, and it just seems like.
Well,
I mean, how was your? Yeah. How was your feeling as far as with the North and South like that, man? Like, to be honest with you, I never thought it would happen, and regardless what side I'm on, I don't look at it as a bad thing.
I mean, if you look at it as a business tip, a business side, you understand it. If coming up in the struggle, you go through your phases. You go through your game bank phase, and then once you start hitting the state and you start getting educated, and now you start looking at things a little different. And so I understand it, but it hurt. I thought it was just going to be a front at first until we got out and we were going to handle business, but it wasn't. I still talk to homies from my neighborhood to this day, and they don't like it. They don't like it one bit.
Let me ask you this question. This is a big one, right? Did you witness anything that you would consider cowardice dealings with the enemy while you were there behind the wall within the organization?
Absolutely. I can tell you, I seen Conejo in the office with IGI and ISU for 30, 45 minutes. I could tell you a story where there's a homie right here who was in New Folsom with the canals over there.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
With Sam Wild from San Jose and Puppet, and then they wanted him to write a letter to ISU apologizing because he disrespected them. And absolutely, man.
Oh wow, that's some crazy stuff, man.